Hey y'all, Shark Scrapper. So I picked up a bunch of these LED shop lights from the electrician. Normally I'm just picking up cable from him, but he had all these shop lights, so I've got these. I don't believe that I've ever scrapped an LED shop light. Normally they're fluorescent tubes. I don't expect that they're going to be a lot different, but it's worth taking a look, so come on. Let's dive in. All right, so in a normal shop light, what we normally get is there'll be a fluorescent tube, there'll be a socket on either end, and the sockets usually have brass. There's some #1 insulated wire, copper wire inside, and then ballasts. And depending upon the ballast, those may or may not be able to get sold as ballast or shred, depending upon how they're made. Now in the LED, we start out with a whole bunch of screws holding at least this variety. These look like they're also glued down as well as screwed, so let's find out. So here's one benefit right away. This could go in with your low-grade boards. There's absolutely no reason why you can't put that in with your low-grade boards. Now some people, find little microscopic bits of gold in the LEDs. I don't mess with that, but there is no reason why this can't go in with low-grade. Now let's see here. Sometimes with these boards, very interesting. I'm going to see if I can show this to you. So I'm scraping off the back of this insulation that's on the back of the board. And what you can see here is brass. Frequently I have found copper in these LED light strips. And here I cut through the brass coating and I got right to another plastic base layer. So that's very interesting. I know there's a bunch of you that are saying, wait a minute, is that brass or is that gold? I'm pretty sure that's brass. I can't see any reason why that would be gold. First of all, these are just shop lights. They're not very expensive. They don't have to have a gold connection. And it just doesn't look gold enough to me. It looks more brassy to me. So I'm going with brass. But there's no way to put this in with your brass. It's such a thin layer. It's like an Enig layer. You can see I scratched right through it. So definitely good enough to throw in with my low-grade boards though. So there's one advantage right off top, right? We get low-grade board. You don't get a board at all from regular shop lights with the fluorescent tubes. So that's kind of cool. All right, now we have a bunch more screws here. All right, now we have a little sheet metal plate, just a reflector of sorts. Loud noise. And we have some sort of another little piece of metal plate here. Loud noise. So, instead of the ballast that we're used to getting, what we have is an LED constant current power supply. So that means we have to take that apart to see what that looks like too. Gracious me. I'm guessing that it's going to be similar to a power supply that we would get from a computer. Let's find out. Now, before we get to this though, let's look here. We've got some thin wire, very thin insulation over top of a solid core. So that'll be a #1 insulated. I'm going to cut off these connectors. My yard does not require this. They're willing to take my insulated wire, my #2 insulated, with the connectors on, and they're kind of cool about the #1 as well, but I like to get my #1 insulated as clean as I can for them. Not that kind of cleaning, come on. Just because they're so good working with me on these things that you know, I don't want to do anything to take advantage of what a good working relationship we have. All right, so this wire here, this gray wire, is not #1. That's going to be #2. So I got to separate that. All right, let's see what this power supply looks like. This looks like an aluminum body. Come on. Yep, over there. Well, ratzel. I have a feeling that epoxy is all the way through the inside of here. Yep. There it is there too. All right, well, curiosity is getting the better of me, so I'm thinking let's take and cut this thing in half and see what we're dealing with inside of here. We'll be right back. All right, we get to use some power tools. Come on, let's chew something up. All right, I think my little Dremel will be sufficient for cutting this, so I don't have to get my big 7-inch out. Yep. So that's a nice chunk. Oh, sorry about that. So here we have a nice chunk of extruded aluminum, and so aluminum housing, and the power supply is encapsulated in this. This isn't really epoxy. Well, maybe it is a type of epoxy, but it's very soft, squishy, rubbery kind of epoxy. But you can see that inside here, it looks very much like a classic power supply. There's a heat sink, There's toroids. But I'm not going to mess with digging that out of there. That's for sure. So I think I'm just going to throw that in with the power supplies that I have cut the wire off of. Because it's not a ballast, it's a power supply. Interesting. Now the question is, do I feel like cutting this open to get at the aluminum for all of these, or am I just going to throw all of these in the power supplies? I gotta cogitate on that one a little bit. Don't you love that word, cogitate? I like it. It's one of my favorite words. Okay, so that was a pretty interesting little scrap. We ended up with low-grade board, power supply, or we can open up the power supply and get at the extruded aluminum shell. We've got a mix of number 1 and number 2 insulated, and then of course we have the 10 bodies of the shop light as well. So if you find any of these shop lights, these LED shop lights, I'd say take a few minutes and break them down, because there's some additional value inside of them. All right, everybody, this is Shark Scrapper. Have a good day. We'll see you on the next one.